week of July 17th, 2017. And the subject of this week's podcast, strangely enough, is when cord cutting doesn't quite cut it. You know, everybody knows that I'm a big fan of cord cutting, and Solid Signal sells an awful lot of antennas. But I want to talk about a situation when cord cutting is just not the way to go. And that's if you're addicted to those sort of event TV programs, because if everyone else is trying to stream something, then you might not be able to. I'm going to tell you a story literally ripped from the headlines, and this is one of those true stories, actually happened to people I know. I'm recording this on Monday, and it's July 17th. Last night was the season premiere of Game of Thrones, which was watched by just about everybody on the planet. Well, I happen to know people who were having a watching party who had satellite, and I knew people who were having a watching party who were using streaming. Now, the people who were having a watching party using satellite had a great time and no problems whatsoever, and got to see every slaughter and every fire and every dragon and every what have you, with no problems whatsoever. Didn't give any thought to it, apparently, because it was just expected. It was going to be reliable. On the other hand, the folks having the viewing party who were streaming using HBO Go or HBO Now, I'm not 100% sure which, had problems. About 10 minutes in, lost connection, had to reboot everything, stopped, tried to get everything set back up. It seems like the stream didn't keep its position. They had to start again, and then there were buffering issues. Well, things picked up, I guess, toward the end of the show, but really took about 10 minutes to get everything back up and running the way it should have been. In the meantime, the host of the party was embarrassed. People lost focus, and when it came right back, it wasn't quite the same. Why is this? Well, satellite television is what is properly called broadcasting. Broadcasting is the word you use when there's a single source, it goes out to everybody, and the source itself isn't affected by the number of people who receive it. This is true of satellite, it's true of antenna, and it's true of cable television. On the other hand, what's taking place with internet is more properly called multicasting. Multicasting means everybody's trying to watch the same thing at the same time, but at some point it does get broken into individual streams at some level. Sure, everybody's watching the same program, it's all being served from the same server at HBO, or at DirecTV or Dish perhaps. And so there is definitely not a bandwidth problem at the server end, but at some point it actually gets split up so everybody's getting their own individual stream. This is going to clog local networks. This is going to slow down the internet for everybody in the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, if I had a chance, I would have actually tested my internet speed during the Game of Thrones premiere, and I probably would have found it being severely affected. Even though I was not streaming Game of Thrones, I suspect that all of my neighbors were. This is a big difference between internet-based television and traditional television, and it's yet to really be addressed. It'll be addressed finally when there is just so much bandwidth that it never makes a problem or never causes a problem, something like that. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that we're not quite there. I wish we were, but we're not. And that's why if you're really a fan of these kind of event programs and you want to watch them live or at the earliest possible convenience, you're going to be disappointed by the internet sooner or later. Let's be honest, you probably already have been. And so while at some point I think we all agree that there will come a time when 90% of television is internet-based, it isn't there yet because the internet just isn't robust enough. It's only been around for about 20 years. Television broadcasting has been around for more like 80, and they really know what they're doing. It was designed at a time when you needed the simplest possible technology to get content from point to point. And so by today's standards, it's incredibly robust. This is important. It's something to really consider, because if this really is your type of television watching, if you're the kind of person who watches event TV, watercolor TV, call it what you will, then you probably should be staying with satellite or antenna television at this point. You probably shouldn't just be relying on the internet.